Part 2. Awareness, God, Consciousness. One gives anything power just by consenting to it. If one ever goes up against a power that one thinks is greater than oneself, one is going to lose. One is going to be defeated. And it is not the thing out there that is going to defeat oneself. It is one's belief that it is a power out there that is going to defeat oneself. A dictionary definition of awareness. Awareness is the state of being conscious of something. More specifically, it is the ability to directly know and perceive, to feel or be cognizant of events. Another definition describes it as a state wherein a subject is aware of some information when that information is directly available to bring to bear in the direction of a wide range of behavioural actions. The concept is often synonymous to consciousness and is also understood as being conscious itself. There is a lot more on the definition of awareness to be found, but for the purpose of this writing, the above will suffice, albeit conscious awareness is not a concept. The main focus here is one's individual awareness, or how one perceives the awareness one seems to use. A simple example of how one perceives can be illustrated by the example of, if one were intoxicated through whatever means, be that environmental or personally deliberate, one would see one's experience altered due to the intoxication. One may say that the toxin has altered one's awareness from what one perceives as a normal state. Awareness has changed. Or has it? Or is it the lens one is being aware through that has changed? The body is the tool one uses to be cognizant of one's reality. So in essence one's awareness is bound by the limitations of one's body, to whatever degree one's body may or may not be impaired. This assumption is all based on the assumption that the body is the producer and home of awareness. If one were to look out from one's eyes, one would be aware of all things within one's awareness, body included. So is awareness housed in the body, or the body a thing, object in awareness, one calls by one's favourite name, within one's awareness? Truth is simple, it is single. This is why the dualistic thinking mind cannot comprehend it. If it could, it would cease to be. It would cease to have any sense of substance, any validity, any sense of life of its own. Awareness is a constant state of one's being, no matter what that state seems to be. One is always aware. The only question there may seem to be is, where is that awareness perceiving from? Is that awareness perceiving through a mental fog of thinking, or whether perception is unclouded, untainted, honest and accurate? Especially now in the present day and age, people want to know the truth. Anyone that is semi-awake is tired of life and lies. Those many know innately they have been lied to by their governments, their mainstream media, their society, yet it seems to take a trauma to see clearly, and no one likes trauma. Yet, through trauma, the conditioned mind has no power. It breaks down. The old no longer serves one's conditioned illusion. One has broken free from the old way and is in search of a new truth. The conditioned mind is like a program running on loop, programming the body to run according to the program using the conditioned installed beliefs and judgments of good and bad conditioning. A loop that, until short-circuited through deconditioning, will carry on looping. If one were to take into consideration past life experience, then there is a whole lot of other conditioning bringing one to this point in time in dream history. People want something good as opposed to the bad old way. See, the illusion of good and bad, two sides of the same coin. Good follows bad, like the tail follows the dog. Yet the dog and the tail are one and the same. Dog good or bad, duality. God, interestingly enough, is the Greek contraction of the word good. This is the search when the old disappears. One is searching for good to be in their life, so one is really searching for God. When one is searching for good, history is used as a reference point in time, a mind memory creation, to be able to judge right from wrong, good from bad, up from down, night from day, and all the opposite poles within a dualistic way that the thinking mind seems to conjure up and encounter. In fact, if one is honest with oneself, one may notice that the thinking mind is like a character in a book by J.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit, called Gollum, aka Smeagol. And while Gollum talks back to oneself, one is aware of this talking going on. Who is this one, being aware of one's mind talking? Are there two voices in there? Are they both oneself? Is one now two? I only know I, this one here. To know two would be a contradiction in terms of I. The only one I truly am aware of. So now one may glimpse that this other one that talks back and argues with oneself all the time is the only devil there is. This is what one experiences as duality. This is how one accepts duality as a normal state of affairs. When the mind, a tool for the use of the one present awareness, seems to become still, one recognizes that, I'm alone here. There is no talking snake, just me. All these stories, everybody's stories, from caveman to present day, including one's own, are only real within the memory of mind, like information on a tape recorder. Yet awareness seems to bring that story to life. So is it the story that has life, or the awareness that seems to give life to the story? Maybe I am just writing another story. Or maybe I am asking a question that is not asked in our children's educational system, or society at large. What is life? The fundamental basis to existence. And why are we here? Or is that question deliberately avoided? Care of the powers that were. God, life, awareness has been under attack for some time, as if one had not noticed. Society has turned everything upside down through social engineering. Good is bad, bad is good, trauma is normal, stupidity is acceptable, chemtrails are normal clouds. As people walk down the streets with their party attire draped around their faces, without question, scared to ask why. Yet, one's wonderful, beautiful, enlightened, omnipresent self, present here right now, is a blink of an eye away, hidden in plain sight where no one looks. The very awareness being the very I that I am, hidden behind the mask of illusion called the thinking golem mind, or plain and simple thinking. You ever wondered what would happen? What would be present if thinking stopped? It is a mind that thinks, not awareness. That is why it is called awareness, because it is aware. Awareness is not personal, inasmuch as it does not belong to a person, although it may seem to speak, act, and be aware through a body. It is not personal to that body, as seen from a physical standpoint. One is not anything one is aware of, yet one includes all things within one's awareness as one's own, and are treated as one would treat anything that belonged to oneself, with care. Seen from the standpoint of pure awareness, all things, thoughts, belong to and are included as complete, whole, invisible ideas within the mind of awareness. Awareness is the macro of the micro-awareness one seems to call one's own. All the Father has is mine. Mine. What is in the above is reflected in the below. Awareness is not the things awareness is aware of. If it was the thing it was aware of, it no longer is aware of that thing. It is that thing, and no longer awareness. When Jesus said to Pilate, "You have no power over me," Jesus was referring to I and the Father, God, awareness, not his body. Pilate knew this, but the crowd, due to their asleepness, wanted blood. The message from Jesus got lost in translation when people idolized the messenger, Jesus. Exactly what Jesus asked them not to do. The message was lost in favour of worshipping the messenger, thereby totally missing the point. Awareness not bound by a sense of body is boundless, i.e. omnipresent. Awareness personalised through familiarity with the body sense seems to believe the feedback to the brain via the body senses and acts it as though it, the body, and its feedback is the master. One is now hypnotised by this pseudo-sense and acts out of this suggestive hypnosis, believing it to be true state of awareness. One sees what one believes. Consequently, one believes what one sees, completing the hypnotic cycle. What a fool believes he sees. To break the hypnotic cycle, one needs to dissolve any part or all of the cycle through deconditioning of the mind. Or to put it another way, become dehypnotised. In truth, there is no one hypnotised. This is the illusory sense of separation from God, awareness. Just a state of hypnosis or misidentification. Correct identification deconditions, dispels, dissolves any sense of misidentification. When one goes to bed at night, drops off to sleep. At some point, one may seem to enter a dream state, somewhere in Lululand. In that dream, one may have left one's car keys somewhere else other than where one seems to be at one's present time. Imagine, in the dream, one recalls where they left the keys, but they were in a locker at a swimming baths one went to with friends. But one cannot recall where swimming baths are, or where in the swimming baths the lockers are, or which locker. As it was a shared locker, and one has now lost contact with one's friends one went to the swimming baths with. To compound all the anxiety, one is now feeling one knows that after they have located one's friends, found the locker, got the keys, one has forgotten where one had parked the car. Imagine the one who believes they are, in a sense, believing that what they are experiencing is reality. Imagine the anxiety one feels, for all intents and purposes, one believes to be real, leading to any manner of reactive actions. So now one has lost one's keys, no car to be found, and when one has overcome these issues, one has to go home just to find that the postman has delivered a letter stating a court order of possession has been placed on one's house. One's bank account is in the red, a pet has just died, and on and on. Then one wakes up, still in bed, and the call of needing to visit the bathroom takes precedent. One has been rescued from the nightmare. Now, back in bed and awake, where is the dream? Where has it gone? Where are all those people in the dream? Where is the landscape, the props, the weather, etc.? Was the dream real? It seemed real. The feelings of anxiety accompanying the dream seeded the same feelings and anxiety as what one may recognise in one's daily, everyday life. Am I now guilty of mass genocide by waking? Is like a weapon of mass destruction upon the dream I have believed to be real. But one realises, oh, it was just a dream. My mind was dreaming. Was it awareness dreaming, or the conditioned mind imagining a story one thought to be real, with all the same imaginings that one may seem to have during one's normal daytime activities? It is the same awareness aware in the dream as the one that seemed to wake, that is aware of that seeming dream. And the dreamer in the dream, is one sure that one is not now in a dream sense, that one believes to be real? The Guru. The Guru out there is a distraction from the Guru within. The Guru is essentially one's teacher, however that may appear in one's world. It may appear as a physical, a mental or inanimate object or attribute, be that seen as a negative or a positive. The list is endless in what one may distract oneself with, and more often than not the distraction is seen as a good or bad quality that one inherently feels in one's life purpose. The world seen and understood objectively out there is the distraction. One's parents, teachers at school, teachers out of school, in clubs, in peer groups, friends, lovers, enemies, the weather, a choice, and for the most part one's life being that distraction, is to teach oneself that the world out there cannot give oneself all that one yearns. Always, eventually, the guru out there will let oneself down. It may seem to happen early in one's life, or it may repeat over and over until one seems to get the message. And more often than not, the lessons get harsher and harsher as time seems to pass. But this is not to shine a negative light on the guru, as the guru is always pointing the way for oneself back to one's inner guru, the I within. I've been shown many a time, with profound happenings, sometimes good, and many times what appears as unpleasant circumstances, how the guru within seems to teach oneself a simple, salient fact. The answer to self-satisfaction, and ultimately satisfaction of self, the very I that I am, is not in things, people, the world of materiality out there. Is life for sale? Is there more or less than conscious awareness, God? By starting with truth, fact, one sees clearly that any sense of otherness, i.e. two, God and another, is pure ignorance. Yet the world accepts duality as the norm, therefore suffers from that normality. In awareness, all is completely and always present. All one's needs are met in the present moment, as all is always present now. To the personal human intellectual mind, belief, evolution, evolving towards, progressing, growing toward, saving for a rainy day, or even just saving, is the survival mechanism of fear employed. It is not true of one who is awake. The intellect will only understand cause and effect, one thing leading on from another, babies being born to ensure the survival of the species. Does the intellectual make babies, or is making babies a natural outpouring of love itself? Is self-realization, enlightenment, an act of awareness, just because it can do it, and for no other means? In fact, no reason at all. Conscious awareness, God, cannot be controlled. Why does one imagine that the state has taken God out of educational systems, schools, out of culture, out of church? The state, the human thinking satanic mind, wants to be God. And when I talk of God, I am not referring to a God of good or bad, one that judges. I am talking of the one, divine, unconditional, unchallenged sense of self that one bees. How would the godless state be then, if the people of the world uncovered their true state of identity? Does pure unadulterated awareness, God, know anything less than itself? Does God know of me, my name, my suffering, my experience, my follies, as well as my joys? Thinking is when, in time, one's problems and lacks seem to take place. If one is not thinking about problems or lacks, do these problems of lack have any power? Has one deprived any so-called substance power from the picture in the mental perception? The fear that seems to keep the drama of the dream in a sense of ego motion. As the mind spins wildly, as attention is withdrawn from the picture fades from one's reality as a power. One would want to deprive reality from one's cherished dream of me. Could God, pure divine awareness, be bought or sold if the price were one's personal sense of self? Could God be given away freely? Who would want an answer to one's problems if the answer would entail the loss of one's personal dream of how one believes one's world should be? The answer precludes the question. A Zen koan. There is a goose that has been raised in a bottle. It has been fed and fed, and it has grown so large it fills the bottle. How does one get the goose out of the bottle without breaking the bottle or harming the goose? Relatively speaking, a question arises, necessitating an answer. The intellect needs answers to facilitate its questioning mind. It needs to know, it needs to prove that which already is. The intellect prizes itself as a tool of great knowledgeable academic posture. It thinks itself into the grave, as its nature is always grave-bound. By virtue of its nature, it is a state of lack, of not having, of not being, of having to learn, of having to evolve, grow, elevate, climb, ascend to a higher dimension from one point in time to another, but never being now. It is a state of denial of what already is. Being now is a state of being already. It is a state of conscious recognition of one's already complete state of being, total satisfaction. Is there truly a question, as one already is, what one seems to seek? Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built up against it. Rumi.